So I'm going to just do another quick demo. So this one shows the cgroup functionality. So I'm going to run, and I made this image. I called it Ubuntu stress backup, actually. And that's that stress program that I showed earlier that saturates the CPU. So I'm going to fire that up, but in this case, I'm going to run it again, but I'm going to run it where I saturate memory. I allocate huge chunks of memory at a time. And so that's what this is doing. But and I'm giving the host name of stress and all these other options. The big difference is here, I'm setting the name of the image. So when I do a Docker PS, I can see the name. When you fire up a Docker image, it gets a randomly generated name. But in this case, you can say, no, I want to use this as my name. So you're just giving it a name. I'm setting the host name, and then I'm passing the -m. This is how much memory is this container allowed to use. So I'll just fire that up. Am I? Oh yeah, after the mem. Actually, I didn't do. Nah, damn nano. God, I hate nano. Sandbox 3. So I fired Sandbox 3, and again, I'm sitting here in a Docker image. And what I've done in this Docker image is I installed stress, right? Stress is not installed. Oh, okay. I guess I forgot to install stress. Oh, fiddlesticks. So you're going to have to wait for the apt-get update. Sorry about that.
So how much memory did it report?
It reports the full system's memory. It's not, it can be limited in how much memory it's able to use, but it still does have a perspective that there is memory in the computer. So while that's running, I'll just pop over to another part of the demo. Yeah, I'll start the WordPress process. And let's see.
Can I ask the Turtles question?
Yeah.
You launch Docker, make your process, start bash, you entered your home directory for your presentation directory.
Yeah.
And now you run Docker within that.
Well, what I'm doing is I'm running, the directory I'm in when I fire up Docker creates a new execution environment, starts bash, sends me over there.
And now you do that again.
You could, so you can't, by default, run Docker inside of Docker. But you can pass it the -- privileged tag, which pretty much says, now you're just using this for pretty containment, not real containment. And what that does actually is it adds the sysadmin capability to that image, to processes in that image. And then it can go ahead and spawn another Docker instance. But that Docker instance inside of your Docker instance, yes, they are little Russian dolls. That one, you don't have to pass the privilege flag to, so none of the drop privileges there. This is a very common thing where people make a Jenkins Docker because they like distributing their software using Docker. But then Jenkins wants to fire up a bunch of Docker images in order to simulate test environments. And if you don't know what Jenkins is, don't worry, you can ask me later. Yes, John here. John knows what Jenkins is. It'll fire up a bunch of test environments using Docker, and so you have to pass that privilege flag. Oh, hey, it's done. So install stress. That's taking a little while. Cool. And it installed it. So it's 17 KB downloaded, and it's installed. So I'm going to go ahead and run stress, and I'm going to run the memory stress test. And what you'll see is it tries to allocate a bunch of memory and it gets killed by the operating system, who says, nope, you shall not pass the 100 meg mark. So that's just a quick demonstration. So you can run a bunch of containers. You can say, hey, you get a lot of processor time. Hey, you, no, you're just a background process. Don't get a lot of time. You don't get a lot of memory. So you can go ahead and enforce good sharing on your applications if you need to. So now that I've kind of showed that, I'm going to just pop out of this container and I'll just show you the Docker processes. So Docker has all of these containers, and the way to do it is you run the Docker PS command, and that'll show you all the containers that are running. Now, unfortunately, because I'm using such a ludicrously small resolution screen and such a big font, everything's wrapped on lines here. So what this is saying is there's a container with container ID of this thing. The image it's based off is the Docker UI image, and the command that was executed in it was Docker UI. It was created about a day ago, and it has a status of up, and it has these ports forwarded, and it has a name called Gloomy Wilson. And the reason why it's called Gloomy Wilson was I didn't pass the -- name flag, so it made something up. So this is how you can look at the process, the Docker containers that are on your computer that are running, and you can look at the images that you can base your containers off of. And I've got a bunch of them. I have this. I have a lot of these backup images because I don't want you guys to, if the networking goes down, I don't want you to wait for me. But I have a bunch of them that I can draw down on, including one that's CentOS. So I can do Docker, not Docker, Docker run RM interactive CentOS, and I think it's CentOS 6. I have an older version, bin bash. And so if I go ahead and cat Etsy Red Hat release, it says I'm on CentOS. That's kind of a funny trick for my Ubuntu box to do.
What if you run uname?
It says the same kernel. It says Ubuntu. So it's running on the same kernel, but otherwise it's relatively isolated. So this is not 100% illusion. This is trying to contain things so they don't step on each other's toes. If you want virtualization, they make software for that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a WordPress site.